Laura Mitchell sat by the window of her Atlanta apartment, crutches propped against the wall, the spring sunlight highlighting the silence of her confinement. 2 months after a car accident, each step was a struggle, and her spirit felt heavier than her injuries. The doctors promised physical healing, but her thoughts were trapped, drifting to a childhood split by tragedy. Adopted at 5 from a foster home, Laura had been a lively girl, overlooked until a successful Atlanta couple, entrepreneurs, with a restaurant chain and real estate. Holdings chose her. Their love transformed her life, filling it with beach summers, academic accolades, and Sunday dinners brimming with laughter. Her parents' pride erased the loneliness of her early years, but loss struck hard. Her mother succumbed to cancer, and her father, hollowed by grief, died soon after, leaving Laura their legacy, a thriving business and a spacious apartment. Now, staring at the bustling city, she felt caged, her parents' dreams for her fading under the weight of her injuries and a crumbling marriage. Laura met Eric Mitchell at Emory University, his charm a balm for her grief after her father's death. He carried her books, listened to her stories, and praised her resilience, making her believe in love again. A year later, he proposed, citing life's brevity, and Laura, still raw from loss, agreed. Their quiet courthouse wedding felt intimate, but cracks soon appeared. Eric's protectiveness turned controlling, his irritation flaring when she asserted herself. The accident, a brake failure on a familiar road, changed everything. Her car crashed into a guardrail, leaving her with severe leg and spine injuries. In the hospital, Eric played the devoted husband, but his eyes betrayed a hunger when discussing her company. He urged her to sign a power of attorney, claiming it was temporary to protect her parents' legacy. Exhausted and vulnerable, Laura complied, a faint unease settling in her chest.
Back home, Eric's kindness vanished. He snapped at her slowness, calling her a burden, his contempt growing daily. He introduced Jacob Reed, a weary 10-year-old, as her caretaker, though the boy needed care himself. Eric's cruelty peaked when he brought his mistress, Christina, into their home, flaunting her without apology. His words cut deeper than ever. "You can't give me children." Laura, some men don't settle for an empty life. Humiliation burned. But a chilling suspicion took root the brake failure. Eric's urgency for control suggested the accident might have been intentional. If she had died, he would have inherited everything. Fear and anger ignited her resolve. She could not stay. Laura hid her recovery, practicing in secret while Eric was away. She progressed from trembling steps to crossing the apartment unaided, keeping her crutches as props to deceive him. One night, after Eric and Christina's mocking presence shattered her patience, Laura decided to flee. She approached Jacob, who sat awake, scared and abandoned. "We deserve better," she whispered. "Will you come with me?" He nodded, and they packed essentials, clothes, cash, documents, and slipped out past midnight to a bus terminal. Laura staged her crutches and wheelchair to suggest she was still helpless, buying them time. They boarded a bus to the Appalachian Mountains, heading for a cabin her parents once owned, its location a faint memory of safety. The cabin, nestled among pines, was dusty but sturdy. Laura and Jacob cleaned it, their efforts symbolic of shedding past pain. Jacob saw the storybook house brought Laura her first real laughter in months. They cooked simple meals, and when Jacob said, "This is the best dinner I've ever had," because it was shared with her, Laura promised he'd never be alone again. In the nearby village, they met Aunt Helen Parker, a kind elderly woman tending herbs. She welcomed them, sharing tea and stories, becoming a surrogate grandmother. Laura's legs grew stronger, and Jacob explored the woods, their bond deepening in this new refuge. One afternoon, a slick stranger, claiming to be Helen's nephew Thomas, pressured her to sell her farm. His aggressive tone alarmed Laura, and when Jacob shouted at him to leave, the man's threat, "You'll regret this," exposed his menace. Laura intervened, backed by villagers, and the man fled. As Helen tended a scrape on Laura's arm, she noticed a butterfly-shaped birthmark and froze. Years ago, as a midwife, she delivered twin girls with identical marks. One vanished before dawn. Laura's world tilted she might have a sister. Helen's certainty, "You have blood kin somewhere," sparked hope, but also questions she couldn't yet answer.
Eric's arrival shattered their peace. He stormed into the cabin, refusing divorce and claiming control over her assets via the power of attorney. "You think you can run off with some country boy and a stray kid?" He sneered. Matthew, a kind contractor who'd grown close to Laura and Jacob, stepped in, but Eric's threats lingered. Helen urged Laura to fight legally, and Matthew promised support. In Asheville, Laura met Caroline Mitchell, an attorney whose name stirred unease. When Caroline entered, Laura saw her own face. Same hair, eyes, and butterfly birthmark. They embraced, sisters reunited after decades apart, their shared mark confirming Helen's story. Caroline, a twin separated at birth, vowed to take Laura's case, blending professional resolve with newfound familial love. In court, Caroline dismantled Eric's defenses with precision, presenting evidence of his fiduciary violations, bank statements, witnesses, and his own arrogance on the stand. The judge voided the power of attorney, restored Laura's company and apartment, and ordered Eric to pay damages. His smugness crumbled, his ambitions ruined. Laura walked out with Caroline, her life reclaimed. Weeks later, in a simple mountain wedding, Laura married Matthew with Jacob, now officially their son, Jacob Mitchell Parker beaming between them. Helen and Caroline stood by, family forged through choice and blood. As twilight fell, Laura announced she was expecting twins, a joyful echo of her own story. Cheers erupted, and in that moment, Laura knew she'd overcome betrayal and loss. Her story, once defined by abandonment, was now one of resilience, love, and a family built on truth, stronger than any greed or deception.